What is up, YouTube? This is your host, Ranee B, here to spill that homicidal tea. And today's case, man. So there I was at work, emailing back and forth with my little work buddy, Heather, about our obsession with true crime. So I start veering more and more away from work, ADD. And I was going through my half-written scripts, literally like over 50 as of September of 2023, and I saw a short one. Like there's preview little thumbnails on there, and it shows just a bunch of little lines for showing that it's a full text page. This one just had a couple lines. I was like, what is that? So I opened it up, and it was just a list of names, just 4 names. And then I remembered, I'll do that if I'm listening to a podcast or reading something, or if I'm in bed, especially listening to a podcast, and I'll open that where you can say, okay, Google. I can't say it because then my tablet will start dinging and stuff. But if you say that, it'll ask you what you want. And you can say, create list and add Janine Hawkins to it. And then I'll know to go back and look at that name to research it at a later time. So anyway, it just came up as a little entry in my Google Docs. So when I came back to it later, I saw the name. I was like, Linda O'Keefe, who the hell is that? I had no idea who that was. So at work, I start Googling, and holy crap. I mean, wow, this case hit me right in the face. And remember, I was at work. So of course, I would wait until I got home to start working on this script.
You're such a f***ing liar.
Now, any of y'all that know me know that that ain't happening. So here we are. It was 2:30 p.m. on a Friday, pittering on my keyboard, bouncing back and forth from work stuff to crime stuff, and finalized all in time to shoot, hopefully that weekend, but I didn't. I waited till Monday, which is today. But anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's just get into the social media infused blast from the past. This solved homicide case of Linda O'Keefe. The sun was out and birds were singing on this gorgeous morning in July 6th, actually, 1973. And Linda Ann O'Keefe was rising and shining in her Newport Beach, California home to begin her 11th day of summer school. Now, looking at her pictures, I can almost promise this little girl was definitely not struggling academically. I mean, she seemed like she was a little dreamer, and you can see it all over her face, the little light of creativity that just surrounds her. I bet that she was just drifting off in thought and didn't really do well in school because of that. And that's why she was in summer school. But that's just my opinion. I actually have no idea why she was in summer school. But either way, summer school stinks. But let's move along. Linda changed into her school outfit that morning. Her mom had hand sewn it for her, and it was a cute little outfit, trimmed in dark blue and adorned with little light blue flowers and all that. And wearing her hair in a ponytail, she pulled on her little white ankle socks and laced up her dark blue shoes and left the house for school. Now, Linda was soft-spoken. She was a sweet little girl, and she was far more mature than her 11 years. She enjoyed art a lot, anything artistic, music, poetry, any of that stuff. Her mom would often brag about her daughter's incredible artistic visions and how well she could express herself through art and music. She was 100% Californian girl. I mean, through and through. Linda, she also loved going to the beach and all things outside in the sun. And though she loved that California life, Linda wasn't what the impression that California leaves on people when they think of a California teen, all self-obsessed and all that. She was actually very empathetic, and she loved her animals. And it was actually reported that when she lost her pet cat, she struggled immensely with that loss. She missed her little dear friend and sweet kitty dearly, and she mourned that loss for quite some time. Now, Linda was also quite close to her sisters, but she really clung to her eldest sister, who still lived at home with her parents, earning her keep by working at a dry cleaner's shop. So it was fun having her big sister around to bounce ideas off and, hang out with. I mean, 11, 12, that's a time when you really need someone who's older that's not going to judge you like your mom, but someone you just kind of, ask questions about stuff like, becoming a woman and, boys and just how to do your hair and stuff. It's just, it was just a cool thing to have her sister live in the house. Linda usually rode her bike to Lincoln Elementary School in Corona del Mar. However, on that particular day, she was driven to school by her piano instructor and would walk the short distance home after school around noon. Okay, now this is where it made more sense, as it was this. This is why her summer school. She was actually going to be at school to complete 4 back-to-back piano lessons. That's why she was at summer school. I was thinking it was normal summer school for kids that like fail a subject or have to retake classes. This little Mozart was learning how to be a better tickler of the ivories during summer. Wow, makes sense. I remember whenever I was her age, I was sleeping all day and either that or swimming or chasing boys on my bike or whatever.
Slut.
Anyway, again, this ain't about me. Linda had actually stayed at school through 4 piano lessons that day. That's a lot of piano, but after her second lesson, she went to a local store about a block away from her school. She bought some bubble gum, and then after that, she headed back to school and finished her lessons. That's a lot of piano. After her second lesson, she went to a local store about a block away from her school and bought some bubble gum. After that, she headed back to school to finish her lessons and prepare for the walk home. Now, after her lessons were finished, though, Linda just didn't feel like walking home, so she called her mom to see if she could come pick her up. When she went to the front desk, the secretary told her that the phone wasn't available to come back in a few minutes. So Linda took it, as an opportunity to go back to the store and buy more bubble gum maybe, or, just run into some of her friends or whatnot. But she actually did run into one of her friends, and her name was Brenda. And Brenda would actually later tell investigators that as she was leaving the store, she almost got hit by a turquoise van. If she had not jumped out of the way, she would have been struck. She also noticed that the same van stopped near Linda, but she was too far away to tell if Linda actually even talked to the driver. Well, Linda went back to the school and called her mom, and she wanted to see if she could get a ride home, remember? And her mom said she was heavily involved in a sewing project and told her daughter to buck up and hoof it home. Well, little Linda, she was upset about this, and she started crying. And as she left the school to walk home, she continued crying. Now, her house wasn't that far from school. Why was she upset? It's only conjecture to me, but and probably you might jump to the same conclusions that I did when you hear what happens later in this story. I think she was afraid. Linda did not go straight home. Rather, she sat on a curb and just continued to cry and cry. But she was that upset. Now, hours passed, and Linda's mom was expecting her daughter to come home around lunchtime, so she never came. And so more hours passed after that, and that's when Linda's dad came home, and the two of them, along with her sister, took separate cars and drove around the neighborhood looking for Linda to no avail. They finally gave up, and around 6:45 that evening, contacted authorities, who would then interview friends and family to try to locate the missing girl and even deployed a helicopter to assist in their search. Missing persons detectives spoke to a little girl named Janine, and Janine and her mom said that they were driving past where Linda was seated on the curb, and there was a turquoise van that was sitting on the side of the road as well. Janine's mother, she felt something was off about this. You know how a mother knows. And when she tried to write down the number, the car tags number, she got a pen, turned her head around to get a look at the plate. The van had quickly whipped a U-turn, and with it, presumably, went Linda, as she was no longer seen seated on the curb. Meanwhile, searchers continued looking for Linda through the night and taking a small break and starting back up at dusk around 7:30 a.m. that next morning when they were joined by more volunteers. During the same early morning span of time, a man and his 4-year-old little boy went to the lake about a mile from Linda's home in quest of frogs. In the cattails, he discovered Linda's lifeless body. When he first laid his eyes on her hand, he reached out to feel it to see if it was a real person or a mannequin. It was a little girl. And he tried to wake her by yelling at her, but he couldn't get a response. So he took his little boy and he ran home with his son and dialed 911. When police arrived on the scene, missing persons investigators handed their case files over to homicide detectives. As this little girl did not have an accident or fall hurting herself, she was clearly murdered and violated in the worst way possible. There were so few clues and no leads on this van. No perps, names came to mind. There was no one to look for. The case never got hot to begin with. It started as a cold case, and it stayed that way for 45 years. police department spent 45 years chasing dead ends after another. One failed lead after another failed lead. It's just Linda appeared to be silent. But that all changed in 2018. The team of investigators would use a novel emotional and psychological strategy to reach out to the public for tips and information, maybe even the killer themselves. This brilliant team of detectives had the idea of using social media to breathe fresh life into this homicide case, allowing Linda herself to take to the airwaves and make a personal plea for the public to help find her killer. They came up with a sequence of thought-provoking tweets that told the story of Linda's final day on Earth, but from her perspective. The investigators used publication of photos of Linda's clothing as a psychological weapon against the perpetrator. The police department used tweets to reconstruct the events of that day, all the way up to and including her murder, again using her own words. Dude, that is genius. That is what sucked me into this case. Like, I read those and I really felt like Linda was speaking to the world. I mean, talking to us like via the web. I know it's crazy, but I mean, as I've said before in this case, and you can think I'm kooky or whatever, I don't care. I believe in this stuff. So it was weird. Whenever I was reading these, it was almost like I was reading Linda's account, and it was very strange. And I don't know if you felt the same thing when you saw those tweets, but yeah, it was just like, wow, whoa. Meanwhile, the forensics team also uploaded samples of DNA from Linda's crime scene to a genealogy database. Now, you guys know how much I love genetic genealogy. CC Moore, what's up, girl? That's my hero. Anyway, well, when they submitted these swabs taken from fluids found in Linda's body, the team wasn't very hopeful. I mean, the swabs were almost 50 years old, and DNA, while it's hardy in some atmospheres, it can become brittle and unusable in most scenarios, but especially in the days before the OJ case. That's really the only good thing from that case, is it taught us how to handle forensic evidence. They also showed a composite of what the perp may look like at the time of the murder and in 2018. Check them out. And they used Parabon Nanolabs snapshot forensic DNA phenotyping system. I dare you to say that fast 10 times in a row. And it pretty accurately predicts genetic ancestry, eye color, skin shade, hair color, freckles, all that. And they create a friggin' picture of the person with that DNA and what they would possibly look like. And again, here he is. This is what they came up with. So, it's kind of a generic, but whatever works, right? So they waited on their DNA results to come back. But come on, I mean, this is 50 years ago. It was a shot in the dark that hit a fucking bullseye. The information led them to suspect 73-year-old James Allen Neal as a person of interest in Linda's case. They found him in Monument, Colorado, and they tailed him for a while to get better samples of DNA to compare directly against the crime scene evidence. Well, I don't have to tell you if it matched or not, because in February 2019, police swarmed around him and arrested him. And that's when they extradited him to Orange County to face the music. Okay, now this is what that guy looks like. Oh, wait, remember this? Oh, God, creepy as fuck. Anyway. Furthermore, in-depth reviews of the DNA from the victim's little body was also confirmed to match that DNA sample left by the suspect as well. Suspect my ass. Left by this asshole, James Allen Neal, which was carefully collected unbeknownst to him during surveillance activities, coffee cups, Coke cans, anyone, or perhaps a cigarette butt. Well, thanks to this DNA that the stealth stakeout team obtained, the additional DNA proved to be the final nails in the killer's coffin.
What?
Wait, what? Did I say nails? Plural? Yeah. The victory in finding out who did this to little Linda was not just for Linda. It was for two other little girls that had been violated at the hands of this unknown rapacious beast, also had their little cases solved. These assaults were between 1995 and 2004, and it happened to children under the age of 14. It just goes to show you, like what Dr. Phil said that one time about child predators. It's so true. They're like cockroaches. For every one victim they're linked to, there are hundreds, if not thousands, that you don't see. Who knows how many little girls were at the mercy of this disgusting pervert. But investigators were absolutely thrilled that the O'Keefe family would finally see justice. Finally. But any hopes of a judicial resolution and justice would be short-lived. On May 25th, 2020, disgusting James Neal was transported to a local hospital for treatment of an unknown ailment, and he would pass away only a few days later. Supposedly, no one knows how he died, but I'm just glad he did. I wish I had more information that he suffered. But anyway, although Linda's killer was never technically brought to justice, the technology and investigative methods employed by the Newport Police Department to track down and arrest Neal were cutting edge and incredibly successful. Remember that older sister that Linda was so close with? Well, her name was Cindy, and it was reported in a statement to ABC News that she said, "I never really thought that they would ever actually find the individual responsible for this after all this time. And finding out that there's a face and a name that goes with it just brings additional closure." Now, she also went on to say that Linda's mother never recovered from the guilt of not being able to, picking up her daughter that day. In my belief system, though, I mean, she now knows that she had no way of knowing whether or not something bad would happen. She was in no way at fault. And I'm sure she knows that now, wherever she is. And it does suck that Linda's parents, Barbara and Richard, died in 2005 and 2008, respectively. They never got to experience closure here in this reality. Perhaps they felt the energy shift in whatever plane of existence that they are in now. I believe that they did. I believe that they knew the minute that they got to see Linda again, holding the precious kitty that she missed so much, and happily told them to stay tuned to what goes on down there on that big blue ball that they call Earth. Justice will eventually be found for her one day. Maybe James Neal did not get punished here for what he did, but I do 100% believe that somewhere he felt the sting and pain and horrific torment that he forced those poor girls to go through, and others that we don't even know about. Well, that is it for this case. Have you ever heard about this one? Oh my gosh, I've never heard of this. And I was talking to my friend Lisa about this, and she said that she'd heard of it before, but this one was a good one. I mean, those tweets, man, that was super creative. I hope that they use that again sometimes, because it sucks that we live in a world knowing that there are plenty of cases that they could choose from to employ these tactics. But, you know, I mean, that's just the way of the world. I mean, unfortunately, as long as there's going to be people around, there's going to be murder victims. That sucks. But until next time, we will see you soon around these parts. And try not to murder anyone because DNA is too easy to track. You know, I mean, it'll track you down now. So don't. And I mean, just don't murder. You know what? I'll let him say it. He says it better than I do.
Oh, God, here we go again.
So just chill out. You know, drink a 7-Up, eat a moon pie, quit murdering people.
Exactly. All right. See y'all later. Bye.